What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma if you're new here, and I'd love to talk about all things Peloton cycling and fitness. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post every single Sunday. And today's video I'm excited for, but I'm also a little bit nervous for. Over this past summer, I have really locked in to repeating 3-day intermediate splits. I did 6 weeks of Rebecca Kennedy's, 6 weeks of Jess Sims, then went back, did 3 weeks of Rebecca Kennedy, and then September happened, and I've just been traveling. I've really fallen out of the strength routine, but now we're back and we're gonna, lock right back in for October. But now there are quite a few new splits out, and I just can't resist trying them out for 1 week, see if they are something that I would consider doing for multiple weeks. So that is going to be the theme of October. And I decided, let's just start out with Andy's 5-day advanced split. I definitely think that this is going to be the hardest one that has been dropped, but I also like Andy, so I trust him. I just feel like it might be hard. I also find with the advanced splits that sometimes they're not hard. It's more that the moves are advanced, so it's complicated to follow. But we'll see. I haven't taken a strength program with Andy in a hot sec, and I do really like his personality, so it should be a fun time, but it should also be a hard time. The description of this program is Next Stop Pump City. Maximize your workouts with Andy's 1-week split training program designed to build strength and muscle by lifting heavier and targeting specific muscle groups each day. Repeat and track your progress, which this is funny to me because the second part of this description is the typical description for any split workout on Peloton. But then I love that Andy is add Next Stop Pump City because that is very Andy. It is 5 days and each day ranges from 30 to 45 minutes. Today there is an hour, but it's because there is a mobility workout after the actual workout. So today is day 1. It is a 45-minute legs and core day. The description is the split workout focuses on strengthening your largest muscles while also improving core and lower back stability. And yeah, I want to go in blind. I don't want to take a peek and then be worried. So we're just going to go start that, see how it is. I do typically like leg day, and that's typically the day I can lift the heaviest. So it should be a good day to start with. And then afterwards, we have a 15-minute full body mobility class. The description is spend 15 minutes with Andy in mobility work designed to get your whole body moving more freely. Take this class on its own or anytime throughout his 5-day advanced split program to support recovery and performance. So I kind of have a feeling that he's going to be take this after every single day, but it's only scheduled the first day, which Peloton does a lot. I don't really get it. We'll see if I like it. I am a really big stretching girl after strength. So if I don't do this mobility class every day, I'll definitely do other stretches because I feel once you start doing stretches, you can't go back after strength. So that is what's on the agenda today. Let's go to the gym, hit the mat, and knock out these 2 workouts. That was pretty much what I expected from Andy, and what I expected from Andy was for it to be a little bit weird. I do feel it was in line with what else he offers on this platform, but definitely very, very different than what I typically gravitate towards, which is, just the straight sets, very straightforward. You just go up in the weights. There's a lot happening in this class, which this is how I kind of feel about all the advanced classes. It's kind of if you get bored easily, then perhaps you would like an advanced class because you're kind of doing things all over the place. And I do think there is a method to the madness, so it doesn't mean it's a bad class, just very different. We started off with a 5-minute bodyweight warm-up, and this warm-up I was not that big of a fan of. Basically, we were balancing on one leg, kind of in a single leg deadlift position, but not as straightened out. It was kind of weird, and we held each leg for a minute and a half, which is quite long. So I don't think it was like that great of a warm up, but we got through it. It was body weight. It was nothing crazy. Then we started on our first set, which was kind of all over the place. We started off, we had a 1 minute weighted crunch AMRAP. Andy did say to go pretty heavy on this. So I used a 20 pound, which is definitely kind of like the heaviest weight that I'm comfortable using for weighted core. I believe I did 20 crunches during this 1 minute. Then we had 30 seconds rest, and then all body weight, we had 20 seconds alternating lunge jump, 20 seconds squat jump, and 20 seconds skater hop, which is definitely not my favorite. I am not a big jumping girl. Andy was like, you can modify, but this is an advanced class, so like basically try to do it. And for only a minute where we're switching every 20 seconds, I did it. Was I happy about it? No, but I will do it for Andy. Honestly, the skater hops are not that bad. It's the alternating lunge jumps that's the worst, and then the squat jumps. So I kind of like that I start with my least favorite move and then move towards my favorite move. Then we did that set again, but instead of weighted crunches, we did no weight single leg V-ups, which I find them pretty easy. We did do a decent amount of core in this class, which does make sense because it's legs and core. But I will say some instructors do legs and core and it's like not a lot of core. So I can appreciate that, but I did find a lot of the core moves to be like pretty easy. Like single leg V-ups are completely fine for me. And then we did our whole minute of jumping situations again. Then we kind of went into the main set of the day, which definitely took a lot of time. We did it on one side and then would do it on the other side, and we repeated it 4 times, so like 8 rounds in total. So it definitely took up a big chunk of the class. It was 20 seconds split squat where you're supposed to do 5 on the same side, then 20 seconds reverse lunge where you're supposed to do 4 on the same side, and then 10 seconds of holding a split squat in the downward position. And all of this was on the same side, then 30 seconds rest, and we would repeat on the other side. And Andy talked so much about progression during this move, which this is definitely like not my favorite kind of progression. And some other instructors do this as well, where it's like, instead of just going up in weight, you're supposed to, like start with single weights and then go to 2 weights and then go up in weight. And like, I get that there's probably benefit in that, but for me, I just like straightforward, like, you're doing the double weights every single week and you just go up when you go up. But for me, I just use 2 25 pounds for all 4 sets. And honestly, if I retook this split, I could probably bump up to 30 pretty quick. But you are doing these moves a lot, so I'm kind of glad that I did 25 today. I think 30 would be a really hard push for me for all of the sets. But yeah, I powered through with the 25 pound weights in both hands. Andy did seem to kind of recommend using like 1 weight for the first week, but then I feel like that would be really, really light unless if I went up significantly in weight. So I don't know. I do not like all of the different single weight and double weight, but Andy is definitely not the only instructor to do that. Then after that set, we went into an 8-minute AMRAP set, and he was kind of like throw back to density training. And then he's also like, we're going to see long AMRAPs in my classes. I used to be a AMRAP hater, but I do think density training where he does like a ton of these long AMRAPs really changed my perspective about it. Basically, it's just like do the best you can, take rest when you need. But our 8-minute AMRAP was 8 dumbbell sumo squats where I used 25 pounds and then 8 tuck-ups, not weighted. And again, I feel like the tuck-ups were quite easy. The dumbbell sumo squats, 25 pounds, again, I could probably push up to 30 pretty quickly. But I did do 7 rounds, so that is like 56 sumo squats, which is definitely not a normal amount of sumo squats I do. I do think that I will be a little bit sore tomorrow. So I'm okay with the 25 pounds for today, but in the future, I would definitely push up to 30. And yeah, that's kind of the like main goal of density training anyways. Once you feel like you've gotten a good amount of rounds, like 7, that means that you should be pushing up in weight. And this was still not easy. Like I was really, really sweating during this strength class, which is not like super common for me. Like we were getting the heart rate up, especially during the AMRAP. Then we did 30 seconds of goblet squat, 30 seconds rest, and then 2 minutes of goblet squat where you're supposed to aim for 20 reps. For the 30 seconds of goblet squats, that was just kind of like a warm-up set. I did one 25-pound, and then I went up to one 30-pound for the 2-minute set, which still felt pretty light. I'd probably have to go up a little more aggressively then. It was just like very weird with like what weights to grab. Like I feel like I should have had one way heavier weight, but that didn't seem to be what Andy like wanted, but I don't know. So in the future, I definitely need to push up a little bit higher or somehow use 2 weights during the goblet squats just to add a little bit of intensity. And then we finished off with a 4-minute like AMRAP core finisher where it was 1 minute of hip dips on one side, 1 minute of hip dips on the other side, and then 2 minutes of weighted roll up where I used 20 pounds, which that was definitely the hardest core move for me. Like we got through it, but wow, I could really feel my core moving. And then the class was over. So definitely an interesting one. I also really went into this thinking that it would be like squats and hinge movements today, but he did say that we do have a back specific day where we're going to see a lot more hinge movements, which are typically the leg moves that I like. So I'm excited for that day, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't know that going into this class because yeah, these are definitely like my least favorite leg moves. But we did it, and I do appreciate that there was a lot of core because my core is very weak, so whenever they work it in, I appreciate it. And I think that also is the benefit of doing a 5-day split versus a 3-day split. Like, we can split out the focus a little bit more and get some good work in. And yeah, I like the length. 45 minutes was good. I'm curious to see how I feel about like the 30-minute classes in this split, just because I've been really locked into the 45-minute classes. So that feels like a really good amount of time to get like a really good workout in. And I think 30-minute will feel a little condensed, but we'll see. I'm going in with an open mind. And yeah, it's fun to like do something a little bit different just because I've been so focused on these intermediate splits that are all just straight sets. So this like was definitely refreshing, a little bit different, a little fun. I love Andy's personality. The music was great. Enjoyability, I would have to give it like a 7.5 out of 10. It's not really his setup. It's mostly the moves and then also knocking a few points off for the jump squats and the alternating jump lunges. You know, not my favorite moves, but we did get through the class. I did find it fairly enjoyable, all things considered. Difficulty, I would give this again like a 7.5 out of 10. I do think that I could have pushed the weight a little bit more, and that's why it didn't feel as difficult. But I also think I will be sore tomorrow. So the jury's kind of out on that one. We'll see how I'm feeling tomorrow. And it is programmed like this in the program. And Andy also basically said it like, there's no rest days, even though it is only a 5-day split. Like it's programmed that you just do Monday through Friday, basically. I'm starting this on a Sunday. So that was also kind of nice because today was a longer day. But yeah, you're basically just supposed to do it 5 days in a row. I don't think I'll actually end up doing that. But that was definitely interesting that there's like no real scheduled rest days, but he is like the middle of the week is more upper body focused. So like you're kind of getting a rest from the leg day. Then we went into the 15 full body mobility class, which I actually really like this one. And he was like, if you're taking the split, you should take this like at least 2 times a week and you could take it on the like shorter arms days. But it's only programmed once and it's programmed after this leg day. I do not understand why the programming is like so bad on Peloton. It has to be done like all by AI, but I can't believe there's not someone human reviewing it considering there's only like a couple programs released a month. But that will be my rant on that. We did do the mobility class today and like, yeah, it felt nice. I definitely feel like I had to do a little bit of stretching afterwards just because a lot of this mobility was focused on arms and this was a leg class, but there was a little bit of leg stretching, leg mobility, and like, obviously it feels good to take the 15 minutes and like really focus on stretching it out. My joints are like popping like crazy while I'm doing this. You know, we're doing like shoulder mobility. We were doing a lot of twists, which that's my absolute favorite. Child's pose, downward dog, like definitely a nice way to wrap up the day, especially because I was going pretty hard in the leg class. The heart rate was definitely elevated. So it was nice to relax a little bit. I don't know if I'll take this again in this program. We'll see how I'm feeling. I don't feel like this was like anything absolutely amazing compared to a longer other mobility class or stretch, but we will see. So day 1 was good and I'm excited to continue tomorrow. Let's hope I'm not sore. It is now the next day, and I can definitely feel it in my quads. For me, I'm always the most sore, like right when I wake up when I'm laying in bed. But once I'm like moving around, get my coffee, doing the morning activities, it does fade a lot, but I definitely still feel it today. So I'm glad that today is an upper body day, but we are getting right on into day 2 of this split, which is 30 minutes chest and triceps. And the description is, join us for this hard-hitting push and pull upper body split focused on strengthening your chest and triceps. And I honestly like chest the most out of like all push movements. Push is my least favorite, although I do see push-ups in my future here. And triceps I'm usually pretty okay with. So I think today will be a good day, but also a hard day. So let's go to the gym, hit the mat, and knock out day 2 of this 5-day split. Today, Andy was not messing around. I definitely thought that it was harder than yesterday. I do think I, in general, like leg moves more, so that could be it. But wow, it was hard, and we were also doing a lot of push-ups. We did push-ups right at the beginning, and I was like, oh, that's nice. We like did them at the beginning, but then we revisited them at the end. So we had a very quick 3-minute bodyweight warm-up, like really no complaints there. Andy in this warm-up is like, oh, for 30-minute days, you should be taking a strength warm-up before. And it's like, then just make the class longer. Like, I don't know, that's one of my pet peeves. I really hate when you're like supposed to do stuff outside of the class. Like, no, the class is the class, just make it longer if you want to have a longer warm-up, but whatever. Then we got into our first like kind of warm-up set, where we did 15 seconds negative push-ups, so just very, very slowly going down in 15 seconds just once. So like basically an isometric hold with how slowly you are moving, and then 15 seconds of just regular fast push-ups, 20 seconds rest. And we did this 3 times. The first time was normal push-up, the second time was wide grip push-up, and the third time was tricep push-up. So, already doing some push-ups right off the bat, but that wasn't too bad. Then we got into our first main set, which this was hard for me. It was 20 seconds of crush presses and then 40 seconds of neutral grip chest presses. And for the last couple of splits that I've been doing, I've been hitting 30 pounds for the chest press, like I wouldn't say easily, but pretty confidently, like feeling like I had really good form. So I grabbed 30 pounds for this, but I don't know if it's because we did push-ups, if I'm feeling a little tired, or the crush presses are harder, which I do think that's part of it, but I was really, really struggling with the 30 pounds. I tried it for the first set, and you'll be able to see in my montage, my form was bad, my ribs are flaring, and I was like, wow, I'm like really surprised, and I really don't want to go down to 25, but I'm like, I just have to go down to 25 pounds. This was 4 rounds in all. And yeah, I was just like, I can't have my ribs flare that much. Like the form is just too bad. So I went down to 25, and 25 definitely felt easier and more manageable, and I definitely had better form, but it honestly didn't feel that easy. So I don't know. I have been traveling recently, so I have been not doing strength as much, but wow. That was a wake-up call that, I need to be working the chest a little bit more. Then we went into an EMOM that was 6 standing chest flies and then 6 Tate presses. I don't think I've ever done a Tate press before. You're on your back and you go like this. Andy is like, this is an alternative to skull crushers. And honestly, I feel like the trick is to make sure that your hands are like coming into the center as much as possible versus like having them out. For the first few rounds, I had them like this, and I feel like that was way easier than when I tried to bring them more into the center, and I could feel it more in my triceps. So when I did that, for the standing chest flies, I used 12, and the Tate presses, I used 15. And for the EMOM, you're supposed to do 6 of each, and we did it 6 times. I definitely think that I could push up on weight on this. For the standing chest flies, I did do 1 round with 15 pounds, and I was like, wow, that feels really hard. But I do think if I repeated this split, that would be a pretty quick thing that I would bump up on. I did not have a lot of recovery on this though. The standing chest flies definitely just like take me a long time, even if they don't feel that hard. I just feel like I move slowly. After that, we had kind of a killer finisher, in my opinion, which, yeah, I feel like this is going to happen every class now because we had it yesterday kind of, but it was worse today. We basically had 3 2-minute complexes back to back where first you're supposed to do 20 tricep kickbacks and then basically like as many push-ups as possible. He's like minimum 10 and then like work up to 20 push-ups in the 2 minutes and then like take your recovery in that 2 minutes as well, because at the top of the next 2 minutes, we're doing that again and then doing that again. So 3 times, 60 tricep kickbacks. I did them with 15 pounds. Honestly, that is a push for me, but it's like a good push. Like I feel very like reasonable doing that. And then the push-ups are really not pretty. Like he really does not say that you can do them on your knees. So I didn't do them on my knees, but he is like, you can like take breaks as much as you want. And like with the 2 minutes, I was knocking out the tricep kickbacks in less than a minute. So I did have a lot of time. I did 10 push-ups for the first 2 sets, and then I pushed up to 15 push-ups for the last set because it's like you don't need any recovery. And yeah, I mean, I'm proud of myself for doing those off my knees. That's pretty impressive for me. And it's definitely something that you would like see progress in if you repeated. But wow, 35 push-ups at the end of a chest and tricep workout is a little bit killer. And then the class was over. I mean, I do feel like it was effective in working out my chest and triceps. Don't know how much fun we had, but we got through it. I do think that the time passes by pretty quickly because we are doing like such different things versus, my typical straight set workout. It's like we, did a warm-up set, a straight set, an EMOM, and then these complexes. Like it is a very interesting class to take, and it passed by quickly, which I feel like is the most I can ask for because it was very hard. And like, yeah, I don't know what I was talking about before I started this class. These are not my favorite moves at all. We will see tomorrow, I believe, is back and biceps. So that's definitely something that I think I can get behind more, but we will see. Difficulty today, I would give like an 8 to 8.5 out of 10. I definitely thought it was harder than yesterday, but I do think I was pushing the weight a little bit more today. Enjoyability, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. I love Andy, but yeah, these moves were rough. The push-ups at the end were rough, but it does feel like we're getting stronger, which is the important part. And then afterwards, I did a nice 10-minute full body stretch because I'm like, gotta stretch out the arms, but also I can still stretch out the legs from yesterday because I'm a little sore. But yeah, it was a good second day, and I I do feel like Andy is really bringing it in this split. So this is really whipping me back into shape after taking a little bit of a strength break. But I am excited, as Andy said, for my 24-hour reprieve before tomorrow. It is now the next day, and my arms are feeling pretty good from yesterday. I'm surprised I'm not sore in my chest, but my legs are still sore, and I really don't know why, because I feel like I didn't lift that heavy 2 days ago. But we are continuing with the split as intended. I feel like this split is definitely a little bit more of discipline versus motivation, but I am excited for today. It is a 45-minute back and biceps class. The description is, grab your weights and get ready for this upper body split workout focused on strengthening your back and biceps. And yeah, I definitely really like biceps, and if there's a lot of hinge movements, I'll like that. I also like the 45-minute length. I feel like we have a little bit more time. So let's go to the gym, hit the mat, and knock out day 3 of this 5-day split. Today's class had so much recovery, and I think I probably didn't push the weight like as hard as I should have based on the amount of recovery that I got. But you just don't know the first time going into it, and it's not like in the moment it was easy at all. But yeah, just a lot more recovery than I was expecting, especially based off the past 2 classes. We started off, we had a 5-minute bodyweight warm-up. This was completely fine. And then we got into like our first warm-up set, which was mostly core. We did 45-second superhuman, 45-second bird dog, 45-second standing good morning, which this was the only weighted movement, and then 45 seconds of bear crawls. Pretty typical core, except for the standing good morning. He did say to use your lightest weights, which should have been 15 for me, but honestly, I hadn't grabbed the 15 yet. I only had 20s. And I was like, oh, like good mornings are easy. So essentially, he just wanted you to do a good morning, but then like lift the weights straight behind you just a little bit, like nothing crazy parallel with the ground. But as your torso is coming down for the weights to like kind of come down with the torso. And the 20 felt hard, but I thought I was doing it. But then I looked back at myself filming and yeah, wow, I was not doing it. So if I took this class again, I would definitely go down to the 15, but that was a learning experience. Then we got into an activation set, kind of get the blood moving, where we did 6 dumbbell snatches on one side, 6 dumbbell snatches on the other side, and then kind of like 6 quick rows where you were supposed to be like really bent into a squatting position and then with 2 weights row. I used 20 pounds for all of this and I felt like this was a pretty good weight for me. We were supposed to be doing these pretty fast. It was a little bit easy for the dumbbell snatches, but I do feel like it was the right weight with the number of reps that we had to do. And we did this 2 times with a 30-second rest in between. Then we kind of got into our main set, which this definitely took a really long time because there was a lot of recovery where we did 6 wide angle rows and then 6 normal rows. And he said that he was doing the wide angle rows with like his lighter heavies and then the normal rows with his like actual heavies. So I used 20 pounds for the wide angle and 25 for the rows. I have been doing pretty heavy row lifting, but only unilateral. So this was 2 weights. I did try 1 rep at 30 when I was grabbing the weights and I was like, this feels too hard. But honestly, knowing the amount of recovery that I get, maybe I would try that next time because we got 1 full minute to do these 12 reps and that did not take me the full minute. It probably took me like 40 seconds. And then we got a full minute of recovery. So for every 40 seconds of work, I was getting like a minute and 20 seconds of recovery, which just was a lot. It was supposed to be like active recovery, like he was showing us stretches to do during the recovery time. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of recovery. At one point, he's like, you can also go up to 8 reps of each. So I went up to 8 in the wide angle. But honestly, the 25 pounds at the 6 reps felt hard. Like by the end of it, I was tired. So yeah, I don't know. Jury's still out on weights on that one, but definitely a lot of recovery there. And we did this 5 times. So it took up a lot of the class. Also, I feel like in between each set, we had really long demo periods, like typically 2 minutes. So definitely a lot of recovery. Then we went into a heavy bicep curl set, which I love bicep curls. Bicep curls might be my favorite move, which they definitely were not always, but I just feel like I really have been working lately and just pretty recently I've been able to go up to 20 pounds and be very confident at 20 pounds, which just feels really good because I was stuck at 15 pounds for such a long time. But we did 30 seconds on, 45 seconds off 3 times, where we were supposed to do 8 supinated bicep curls. So essentially, like you were almost holding a barbell, keeping your arms like straight the whole time and lifting up and down. And yeah, that catches up to you. That's definitely hard. It was definitely the right weight for me, but it felt good. And yeah, I like doing the heavy curls. Then we circled back to the 3 2-minute complexes, but this one was good because it was still curls. And you know, I've really been liking the curls where we did 8 concentrated curls on one side, 8 on the other side, and then 12 alternating normal bicep curls. And he did say to use your lightest weights for that, which is 15. Like he's like, you should be moving pretty fast and you should be able to get around 30 seconds of recovery, which the first time that I did it, I was like 15 feels way too easy, especially for a concentrated curl. But still, it like kind of catches up to you. I did try to go up to 20 for like a hot second in the second round. And then I was like, wait, no, like I will not be able to finish on time and get the recovery. So I think it's just like a little bit different than what I'm used to. It's more endurance rather than like push super heavy weight. But it like does catch up to you. You are doing a lot of curls over the 6 minutes. Then we had another two-minute complexes where, wow, we were hitting like a lot of different moves today. This was also with our lightest weight, so I was using 15. We did like 12, I believe he called them W rows, but like kind of reverse flies. Then at 12 where we were bent over and we were like making a V with our dumbbells, keeping our arms straight. So bringing them back, really working the lats. And then finally going into a kneeling plank position and kind of doing like wide grip renegade rows. You brought them up at the angle. And yeah, you could do these like pretty fast because you were using your lightest weights. But again, kind of a push. I believe I had like 20 to 30 seconds of recovery in between the two. And then we finished off with 1 minute lat dumbbell pullover. And this one was interesting. He was like, you can use your heaviest weight or your like medium weight, which would be 20 pounds for me. But he's like, oh, the first week you can just like do a normal lat pullover on your back. But then the second week, I want you to try holding the dumbbell like horizontal. And I don't think I've ever done that before. So I was like, I'm kind of interested in just doing that today. So I did it with a 20 pound and I definitely think I could go up to 25 in the future. But yeah, it was interesting. He's basically just going to activate your lats a lot more, get the stretching a lot more. And I think I liked it. I think that it felt better to hold rather than like holding it in the typical way where you're holding it by like one side of the bell. And then the class was over. Definitely like went by quickly. We did have a lot of recovery, so I feel like that helped a lot. And we did do a lot of moves. I like rows. I really like bicep curls, so today was not a bad day. I thought that there would be like more deadlifts, but there weren't. I mean, there was just good mornings at the beginning, but we'll see. I'm interested to see like if he throws some more hinge movements in the full body day, because I do feel like we haven't done that many hinge movements. But overall enjoyability, I would give this one like a 8 out of 10. I mean, I do feel like I wish I pushed myself a little bit harder on the weights sometimes, but it was kind of nice to have a chiller day here, even though it was long. I did enjoy the recovery and I do like the moves that we did today more than the past 2 days. Difficulty, I would give this like a 6.5 to 7 out of 10, but that's definitely on me for not pushing the weights a lot. And he does also talk about how like he doesn't want these classes to be boring, and he also kind of like wants to round you out in general fitness and like kind of be good at everything, like be good at endurance, be good at heavy weights. And I definitely see that reflected in his like style of class planning. So yeah, overall, it wasn't like a super hard day, but I do think that it was effective and I do think I will be sore tomorrow. It is now 2 days later. It's Thursday morning. We had a rest day from strength yesterday. Wednesdays are for run club, at least when it's still warm outside. I don't make the rules. And yeah, I'm feeling refreshed, ready to go. I do think 5 days of strength in a row is a little intense. We're still gonna do it in the full week, but you know, I feel another rest day coming tomorrow because Friday is typically for an outdoor bike ride. So yeah, I'm feeling good, feeling ready to tackle today. Today's class is a 30-minute shoulders and triceps class, which I think is kind of interesting because triceps is the only muscle that we're working twice. My guess is that some of the tricep movements are pull and some are push, and that's why, but yeah, I don't have anything against triceps, so that's fine with me. And I do like a good shoulder press. So I have high hopes for today. Let's go to the gym, hit the mat, and knock out day 4 of this 5-day split. I really like today's class. I think it might be my favorite in the split so far. I do think part of it is having that rest day yesterday and just feeling like way better, way ready to go. And then I also think that I like these moves a lot, thought it was structured well. And then with the 30 minutes, it does go by so much faster than 45, like it's 2/3 the length. So we really get in there, have an effective workout, and then get out. We started with a 3-minute bodyweight warm up. That was totally fine. We actually did this move I've never done before where it's just like a shoulder opener where you go like this. And I really like it. That felt really good. And it was funny, like Andy was just being goofy during it. Then we started our warm-up set, which was a open lateral raise where we kind of like went up in a V. 45 seconds, 15 seconds off, then 45 seconds Arnold press, 15 seconds off, and then 45 seconds overhead carry on one side, 15 seconds off, 45 seconds overhead carry on the other side. And we only did this once. The weights in this whole class, I was really going all over the place. I used 12 pounds for the open lateral raise, which did feel a little bit easy, but then I did end up going very high when I was holding them. 15 pounds for the Arnold press, which I think that's the correct weight for me for Arnold presses. And then 25 pounds for the overhead carry, which was pretty heavy. But I am here to try to push the weight, so it did feel good. Then we went straight on into kind of like our big set of the day. We did this 4 times, and it was 25 seconds overhead press where we were aiming for 6. And then 15 seconds push press where we were aiming for 4. And yeah, Andy's like, this is like a drop set. Basically, you use the weight the whole time, but once you kind of burn out on the overhead press, then you go to the push press and get a couple more reps in. I used 20 pounds. I was debating 25. You do have weights in both arms for this. And I'm very glad I did not use 25. 20 pounds was definitely right. Like I was hitting the reps, but I was hitting the reps like only as the time was going off. And then, yeah, I feel like I needed the full recovery to then hit the reps again. Overhead presses I like, but I do think they're one of my weaker moves. So it was a good thing to practice today. And we got a full minute rest in between each set, which was nice, but I needed it. And we did that 4 times. And that took up a lot of our class. Then the next thing we did was an EMOM where we did 8 overhead extensions and then 8 lateral raises. The overhead extension was just with one weight on our knees. I used a 25 pound. That felt good. I could probably bump up to a 30 in the future. And then the lateral raises were also on our knees. I started with 15 pounds for the first 2 sets, and then I was like, I need to go down to 12 because I was not getting enough recovery time. I don't know. I feel like I'm always slow at lateral raises, so it's hard for me to go up. Like 12 didn't feel super, super hard, but with 15, I'm just like so slow. But that also kind of is how I felt about bicep curls. And then eventually I did work my way up in weight in bicep curls. So I know it's coming for lateral raises. I just have to keep doing them. And we did that for 6 minutes. So 6 times. And then for our last wrap up, we did a 5-minute AMRAP where we did 8 JM presses. I used 15 pounds, 10 Arnold presses. I used 15 pounds again, and then 12 front raises, which I went down to 12 pounds. I think Arnold presses were definitely the hardest for me in this. Honestly, 15 pounds for an Arnold press is kind of aggressive for me. And you said to aim to do like 3 rounds in the 5 minutes. And I was only starting my 3rd round when we finished up. So I'm definitely like a little slow, but I think I would say at these weights, if I repeated this split and try to work my way up to 3 rounds, like it doesn't feel impossible. I just need to get faster. And yeah, I don't do JM presses a lot. It's like where you're on your back and then as you're kind of doing the chest press, you like bring it down to work the tricep. But I do like doing them. It's nice to do like moves that I don't typically do. And then the class was over. This one just like absolutely flew by. Like we had warm up set, main set, EMOM, AMRAP done. And yeah, I feel like it was good. It was effective. I was definitely feeling the burn, especially in my shoulders. And today was a good day. Enjoyability, I would give this one like an 8 to 8.5 out of 10. I just really liked the way that it was structured. And yeah, it felt like we got a good workout in, which is like my number one thing. Difficulty, I would give it like a 7 to 7.5 out of 10. I don't think this was like crazy difficult. And we did get a lot of recovery. You know, we got like EMOM recovery. In our main set, we were getting a minute of recovery. So it definitely felt like I could push the weight and work hard, but also get the recovery needed to keep on going. So that is day 4. I can't believe there's still one more day in this split. We are really locking into strength this week. It is now Saturday morning. We had another rest day from strength yesterday, had a nice outdoor bike ride, enjoying the last few nice days because winter is coming. But now we are ready to wrap up the split with day 5. And it is a 45-minute full body strength class. The description is, this full body class is designed to strengthen your muscles through a series of dynamic movements. And I'm not usually a full body strength girly. I usually feel like it's kind of hectic because you're just like doing all the moves. But we'll see. I'll give it a try for Andy. If someone would make me like it, Andy would be the one. And yeah, I'm definitely excited to wrap up this split. This was an intense strength week. So let's go to the gym, hit the mat, and do day 5 of this 5-day split. I really like that class, mostly because we got a lot of hinge movements in today. When we started, Andy was like, yeah, basically this class is like anything that I think we are like missing from the other classes. And yeah, for the most part, I was pretty happy. I really like the moves. Definitely more of a like cardio class. I sweat the most out of all of the days. And yeah, we were really working, like doing a lot of fast reps. But that's kind of expected when you are doing those hinge movements. I do feel like that always does get your heart rate up. We started with a 5-minute bodyweight warm-up. That was completely fine. And then we went into kind of like our warm-up set, which did have jump squats, but I am okay with them because it's only 20 seconds at a time. It was 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, and we did squat jumps, tuck-ups, skater hops, and then Russian twists. So kind of like firing up the legs, firing up the heart rate, cardio, and then also doing some core. And we did this set twice. So just a quick 4-minute set. And yeah, this was effective. It got the heart rate up. Not a huge fan of squat jumps. For some reason, skater hops like don't bother me though. I do like skater hops. And the other moves are fine. So I thought that was good. I always appreciate when we have like dedicated core. Then we got into a 6-minute EMOM, but before the EMOM, we did a warm-up set with lighter weights. So I used 20 pounds. And the EMOM was 4 dumbbell swings, and then 5 squats, and then 6 renegade rows, all with the same weight. And the warm-up set was 6 swings, 7 squats, and 8 renegade rows with the lighter weight. So the lighter weight, I used 20 pounds. That felt good. For the actual EMOM, I used 25 pounds. That was definitely a push, but I was completing it. I was getting about 15 to 20 seconds of recovery. The heart rate was definitely skyrocketing, but like that is the right weight for me. I think 20 would be way too easy and 30 would be way too hard. In my opinion, it was a good EMOM. That is like what a good EMOM is. You're working really hard and then you get like 15 to 20 seconds of recovery. But man, by the end of it, I was happy that we were finishing it. 6 rounds was definitely tough. Then we went into like a 2-minute complex that we did twice back to back. And man, oh man, this one was for the reps with 1 weight, and I used my 25-pound heavyweight. We did 15 goblet squats where we were going up on our toes when we were like fully standing up. Adds a little bit of spice. Then we did 8 lateral lunges on one side, 8 kickstand deadlifts, 8 lateral lunges on the other side, and 8 kickstand deadlifts. And this took me like literally the full 2 minutes. Like I did not have any recovery. We only did it twice, so it like wasn't too bad. And you are using different muscles the whole time. So yeah, it wasn't anything like super difficult. But again, by the end of the second time we were doing it, I was glad that we were getting a break. We did get like usually 2 minutes in between all these different sets. So there was definitely like enough recovery time. But yeah, we were working, again, got the heart rate up. You have to move at like a pretty fast pace. 25 pounds is not a crazy weight for any of these moves for me, but I think with the combination of like the amount of time you get, like you have to keep the pace up. Then we went into a 9-minute set, which was just 45 seconds on, 15 seconds off, 3 times. We did kneeling bicep curls. I used 20 pounds, plank marches, and then flutter kicks. And yeah, I feel like the 20-pound bicep curls, like I go pretty slow. I was getting maybe like 12 reps in, but I'm like happy with that. Like it feels good. I definitely don't want to go down just to do more reps. Like the 20 pounds feels like a good challenge. Plank marches to me, like they're not my favorite move, but I'm completely fine with them. But flutter kicks, whatever part of the core flutter kicks use, that is my weakest part of the core, because man, oh man, is it a struggle bus. Like I am taking breaks and my legs are also angled like super high up. Like basically the closer you have them in line with the ground, like the harder it is. And I am like struggling, and I'm at like, you know, probably like a 60-degree angle from the floor. But, you know, we got through it. We took some breaks. It was definitely hard. And repeating that 3 times was hard. Like the bicep curls and the plank marches were not bad at all. But the flutter kicks, I was struggling. But like, I know I need to do moves that challenge myself. But yeah, I was not prepared for how hard that was. I haven't done flutter kicks in a hot second. Then we were almost at the end of class. We did 1 minute of tuck-ups, and Andy's just like, oh, this is like a benchmark for you, so like count how many tuck-ups you did. I did 30. I don't know how many more I could possibly do in a minute. Like I'm pretty good at tuck-ups. And then we finished off with a 5-minute AMRAP that was 5 dumbbell snatches on one side, 5 on the other side, and then 10 push-ups. I used 25 pounds for the snatches. That felt good. Again, I love the hinge movements, so like really no complaints there. The push-ups were less pretty, but I was actually pretty good. I did all of them off my knees, which impressive for me. And I would do like 5, and then I would take a little bit of a break and do 5 more. And I found that that was like a good like break point for me. At some point, I would love to do 10 push-ups quickly, all in a row, off my knees, not stopping, but today was not the day. But you know, I think I'm getting there. I've definitely been getting better at my push-ups since I've started taking strength seriously. I did 4.5 rounds here, which I'm pretty happy with. I feel like 25 pounds is a good weight. Like maybe I could push up to 30, but for me, I'd rather see improvement on the push-ups before trying to push weight. And then the class was over. Definitely one that's gonna get the heart rate up, like a lot of AMRAPs, a lot of EMOMs, a lot of like hinge movements, full body movements, which I think drives up the heart rate naturally compared to like arm movements. But I really liked today, mostly because I just like liked all the moves. Andy was in a great mood. It was a good way to wrap up the week, in my opinion. Enjoyability, today's class, I would give like a 9 out of 10. I actually would take this class just as a standalone. I mean, I don't know how like really full body it is. It is very like hinge focused, in my opinion. Like sure, we get some arms in, but yeah, we're doing a lot of hinge movements, which is just like something that I like. Difficulty, I would give it like an 8 out of 10. Definitely some hard pushes, but again, I just feel like you do get a lot of recovery, especially in between sets. And we're never repeating stuff like super, super long. Like honestly, the hardest set for me was probably the 9-minute bicep curl plank march flutter kick set, just because of the flutter kicks and like that you didn't get like a ton of recovery for 9 minutes straight. But even that was like not that hard. It never felt like I like had to stop out of difficulty. Overall, I like this split. I do think that it doesn't really fit in with my workout schedule currently, just because 5 days is a lot. And he does mention that you're like supposed to be doing all this other stuff on top of the split. Like he's like, yeah, like mobility and stretching and cardio. And like, I'm definitely getting my stretches in. I did at least a 10-minute stretch for every single class that I did this week. But the cardio, I definitely think is hard. Like for me, basically, I took like no rest days this week if you count like Sunday to Saturday, where I did my biking one day and then I did my running another day. I do not feel like after really like any of these classes that I would want to do intense cardio. On the 30-minute days, I did do a walk one day and a hike one day, but only like 15 minutes. So like not a ton of cardio. Like I could never do like a run after these strength classes. So I do think that this is like a little above my punch-in level right now, but it does make sense because it's an advanced split. And like maybe in the wintertime, if I'm like not prioritizing cardio as much, I could see myself trying to lock in and repeat this, but I do think that it would be very hard. But I do think that if you were really committed and you kept repeating this, like you would get used to the 5 days. I'm just not used to 5 days right now. I do think my next step in strength is probably to try to go up to a 4-day split and get used to that first, because I am coming from like 3 days, which is significantly less than 5 days. But overall, I did enjoy it, and like I'd recommend it, especially if you're an Andy fan. I feel like you can't go wrong with any of his splits. I do think that he is really, really good at programming. And like even if I didn't love the class, I can appreciate that like each class we got a good workout in. And yeah, I think you can't really complain if that is true. So yeah, overall, I liked it, but I don't know if I'll be repeating it. I gotta try out the other splits first and then try to figure out what I'm gonna do in the fall here. But that is it for this video. Let me know if you've taken this split or if you've taken any of the other splits that have dropped recently. The other two on my list is the Strength for Runners and then Rebecca Kennedy's 5-day express split. Another 5-day split, but that one's a little bit shorter. So I really chose chaos when I was like, you know what, let's just do the hardest one first. But I'm glad that I got to try it. I hope you guys are staying safe, having an awesome week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.